let me know when we're ready. We ready? Great. So welcome everyone to our 2018 alumni panel. This was put together because we had a student who was interested in sort of pathways through the program and how they lead to a place to get a job. You know, you're working now. So we have four alumni on our panel who went through the program in different capacities, and I'll give a very brief introduction of them. And they're going to talk a little bit about their experiences both here at LAN and how they made that bridge to the professional world. And then I'm hoping that you guys who are still here and are looking towards your own future and careers in landscape architecture might have some questions or get some seeds of wisdom out of this process. So thank you everybody for coming and showing up. I can't read without glasses anymore, which is sad but true. So our first person that I'll introduce is Diana Lau. She's from China. Diana got an MA and graduated in 2017. She is currently working at Harris Design in Berkeley. But I would like to point out that when she went out into looking for a job, there were three firms that were interested in her, and the principals of the firms were trying to get her into their offices. So we're very proud of you and the work you did, and you landed at Harris, which is great. Eric Arneson, you were up in Petaluma? Healdsburg, north of Petaluma, here in Northern California. He graduated in 2016 with a BFA. Eric won the ASLA National Honor Award in General Design for his Bendway Park project, which he showed a couple of pictures of if you were here. That we did a drone seminar earlier. Actually, those of you online won't know that, but that will get posted if you're interested in that topic. I don't want to get off on that now. He did internships with Lucas and Lucas. He worked part-time with Groundworks in the East Bay and has been working, I think, full-time with Tony Bava, Landscape Architects in San Francisco. He is a licensed drone pilot. He did some consulting with Drone Deploy, which is a drone software company to help them refine their software tool for landscape architects to use. And he did a series of Alvin drafting videos. Alvin, the maker of like triangles and drafting tools, and they're excellent. They're like 5-minute tutorials from sort of site planning through basic rendering. So he's been busy, and thank you for coming. Nahal Sabati graduated in 2017 with an MFA. She also, well, actually, I'd also like to say you won the Northern California Student ASLA Award as well. And Nahal, sort of following in Eric's footsteps in the sense of also winning, won the ASLA National Award of Excellence in Community Design for her Ridge Lane project, which has been kind of renowned throughout the city and county of San Francisco and is sort of becoming a model for how leftover public space can be developed for the community that it's in. She also won the Northern California ASLA Student Award with that project as well. Nahal did an internship with TS Studio and then a quite prestigious one with CMG Landscape Architects in San Francisco, where she is currently working full-time. Okay, thank you for coming. And Chloe, last but not least, has got an MFA in 2016. And Chloe, I don't know a lot about your experience here because I wasn't here when you were here, and I'm hoping you'll tell us more about it. But I know you're now working at Terrain Studio, and Terrain Studio is a great office. They do really interesting work. So looking forward to hearing about what you did. And I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. So what we're going to do is they're going to each just sort of take turns talking for 5 minutes or so about their experience here at the land department and that bridge over to professional life, and tell it like it is. And then we'll just open it up for discussion, and you guys may have some questions about how all that worked and what their experiences were. All right, Diana, can we start with you?
Okay. Hi, I'm Diana, and I'm come from China, and I got an MA's degree in landscape architecture, and I graduated last year, and luckily I got a new job after I graduate. And now I'm a landscape art designer in Harris Design, and I focus on public landscape design. Recently, we got a lot of jobs like some school landscape and public landscape in the some playgrounds renovations. Yeah, a lot of different type of jobs and create a lot of fun and enjoy it. And I I a different. I feel like I didn't found any difference between the school and now I'm working in the office because both are busy, and both are focused on design. So and but I I like both in the school and working in the office because when I was in school, I feel like I just built a strong foundation, and then I have some very good skills and jump to the office design, office jobs, and thanks for the school, I'm learning a lot, and I got tickets, and then so I have ability to work as a landscape designer and meet more great landscape architects. My principal is a very good landscape architect. Once he used to be work with Lawrence Harping, and he was a principal of WRT also. So he is super professional, and yeah. So I okay. Yeah, so I'm so proud that I have an opportunity to work with him, and he likes me and teach me a lot, so I get improved.
So, can you tell us? You had 3 offers
Uh-huh.
basically at the same
Yeah.
time, and I'd also like to point out that it wasn't right when she stepped out the door. What Diana did was she took her portfolio, and for the 6 months she was looking for work, she went back and redid the work that she did in her design studios and improved it. But I'm curious to know how you decided on Harris Design versus the other 2, because you could have
There has a few
gone anywhere.
reasons that I chose Harris Design. First, I anxiety that period because I'm afraid I cannot find a job here, and I'm not have a lot enough confidence of myself because a lot of good students in San Francisco, and but I'm lucky, and I made my portfolio try to make more professional and revise it again and again, and also I come to school to find the structure and find Jeff and go to the school um, Career Center, I think so, and they help
Career
me,
Center.
yeah,
Yeah.
Career Center, and help me to look at my portfolio and raise mine, and give me some very construction suggestions. So, and I choose, and then I my first offer is come from Harris Design. So I'm so glad that I have a job.
Yeah.
And and another reason why I chose Harris Design because the principal has a good experience in Bay Area, so he know a lot of public design. He take part in a lot of like construction, like the construction review, and also because Harris Design is not a very big firm, so I've I decided to choose it because the small firms has a big opportunities to develop more skills. So like now I'm take part in design and also for has a response for the drafting, and also my principal take me to the site to look at the construction, how to build the designs.
Yeah, and I think it maybe in the discussion we can talk more about the choice of being in
Yeah.
a larger firm versus a smaller one and what you guys think the advantages and disadvantages might be of either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Eric?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Eric Arneson. I'm a landscape designer. I currently work at Antonio Bava Landscape Architects in San Francisco. So I first started my trip to becoming a landscape architect, eventually a landscape designer. Now, from Healdsburg, California, I went to a junior college to study art in general because knew I wanted to be a creative person. But while there, I had some elective classes, and I took botany because I was also interested in gardening on the side. And I found that there's a job that mixes the two, which my interest in science and also my interest in art, and that ended up being landscape architecture. So I found this school of landscape architecture at the Academy of Art, and I ended up coming here, and I fell in love with the program. It has become a lifestyle for me as being a landscape designer. I look everywhere and I see landscape design, I see plants, I see how people use space, and it's really become, as I said, a lifestyle. And I think that's a great thing to find, that a job that you can really fall in love with and really be passionate about, not just when you're at your work, but also when you go home and meet with your friends, other people you can talk to about the profession. But my experience at the Academy of Art in particular was really great. We had a great group of friends that we were with. We did a lot of cool extracurricular activities, such as the garden show. So Parking Day was another one that was really fun, and that's like things that happen every year that we do together, not just in your classroom, but I think it's really important that you go out there and do all these things that get you involved with people that aren't just in your classroom, so you can meet other professions, other professionals in your field. And working right now is really great. I prefer working over at school. I like getting things actually done. That was my favorite part about school, was going to the garden show and the parking days, because we'd actually build things and you could see how people use them. And I think that's one of the greatest benefits in actually working with plant materials and stuff like that. I'm really passionate about. So yeah, we'll talk more.
Okay, so my name is Nahal Sobati. I came to school in 2013 with a Bachelor of Interior Design from Dubai, and coming from interior design background, it was very different. I had no idea what landscape architecture is. I didn't know what topography is. Like, I had no idea I'm gonna deal with things like that. The first few semesters was very challenging for me because I had all these new subjects that I had to learn. But eventually, it worked out. And it's very good to see that you're challenged at school. That's a great sign, I would say. That means you're growing, you're getting better. And so whenever you're challenged, just know that that's the time that you're getting better, and really appreciate that moment and just push harder. One of the reasons I wanted to become a landscape architect was when I learned about basics of design and interior design, I really felt like it's a very powerful tool, because when you create a space and there are people involved in it, you can change so many things. You can change how they feel, how they're gonna act in future. You can change their moods, and that's very powerful. And with landscape, you can really change a lot more, because even with the smallest space, you can change their habitat. You can give people power to talk, and it's just endless. And that's the main reason I'm very passionate about landscape architecture, because I feel like it gives you power to really make a difference. And when I was in school, I started working in my second year in Landable Studio as part-time, and then start working in TS Studio the third year. And then last year I got an internship in CMG, which I was selected between 200 something people, which was great. I was very excited. And I wanted to talk about this later, but I'm going to say it now. But one of the things that I really recommend that you guys practice from now is school is a great time that you can really create your unique voice, really work on what really matters to you, and that what makes you different from anyone else in the work field, because it's very competitive. And there's a lot of people that they are really good, really fast, and whatever you can do, they can do it better. That's the reality. What makes you guys different is that you have your unique voice. Like, that's from the way you render things, the way you design, the way you talk to people. And it's just, whatever you do, try to be unique, be yourself, and just work on that, and just keep it in your mind that you're going to be different from other people when you're in work field. And I think what makes CMG to choose me between all those 200 people was that I had my unique voice, and how I really like to be part of community projects, and it really matched their philosophy of design and their firm as a whole, but which they really, like, their philosophy as a team is to create spaces to enhance the social and ecological well-being of the city through artful design, which that social part for me was a big deal, because I really cared about how people are using the space. And I think it was the other way too, because my portfolio really showed them that I really care about that too. So work on your portfolio. Thesis is a great time to really learn about that unique voice that you're looking for, and I would say definitely go with your thesis projects. It's a great time to really know what you want to do in future. And I have a lot more to talk about, but we will talk about it later.
Hi everyone here and everyone online. Thanks for inviting me to this panel. I'm Chloe, by the way. I graduated here in 2016, and I start to work at the second year of my graduate school, which introduced by my director was Heather. So I bring my portfolio to the, not even portfolio, I just bring my schoolwork to the office and present my schoolwork, and I got my first job. And at that time, I was like super nervous, like me now. Like the school time was kind of a bit challenge, because I was like at the moment about choosing a topic for my thesis project, and I don't know what I'm really passionate with at that moment. So I start with a super huge scale site, then jump into finally got like a park scale project. But since I got the job and the school thesis going on at the same time, so it's pretty challenging for me to manage the time, like Naho said, to get balance it. And one of the big moment, like aha moment for me was like the thesis presentation day was the last day for my school. I was nervous for the presentation, so I went to take the bus earlier than before. Then I passed the bus stop. I should get off. Then accidentally I was get off of the Union Square station. So I said, okay, I'm a bit early, so why not just pass by to check people doing. Then the magic moment is I saw there's a light like shining on the sculpture of the Union Square. And the Union Square was redesigned by Michael Fotheringham, who was my instructor before. So I was really touching. I feel the light is kind of guiding me, and I saw all the people kind of hang out in the space in the early morning, I feel, wow, that moment, I feel I'm not that nervous. I feel I know what I really want to do about landscape, really create space for people, really stay there using the space and having fun there. Yeah, so I think my school challenge is all about thesis and time management. Later, after my internship in the office, I was lucky and the office kept me there, so I become a full-time employee. Now it's almost to next January to be my 4th year there. Yeah, but my experience in the office is quite diversity. Start from an intern, I work as the CAD drafter. Then later, I start to involve some like schematic design, conceptual level design, and the design developer detail works. And then now I work as a client liaison. I fly to China like sometimes to really present to the client and talk with all the coordinate with all these other relevant like architecture, interior people, and talk with the government even. So this experience is very interesting for me, like really talk with people and deal with the real problem. And the main project our office work is like water-related ecological projects. We have the river corridor project in Nanjing, China, and another like a whole new town planning project, like 1/3 of area of the San Francisco city. That's very large scale project, which I really like to deal with the larger scale down to the small scale as my thesis did. I can show some photograph under the graphics later. So I feel doing landscape is really like think about others, like think about others in the daily life, like all the people hang out on the street or in the park, and think about others like architecture and the interior design and all other people, how to work with you, and think about others in your office, like how to be organized and how to make everyone comfortable to work with you. And back in school, I learned a lot from my like schoolmates. We did a lot of like a teamwork project, garden show, parking day. So I really enjoy like the experience really to think about others and how to figure out it all together. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So there you have the intro. Yeah, go ahead.
I have
Oh,
a
no.
question from online. Misa would like to know how you balanced school and work life. Sorry. Misa online has a question on how you balanced school and work life.
Wait, how you found it?
Balance.
Oh, balanced it.
Well, that's assuming that you have a job while you're at school, which is very difficult. Only a few people here have done that. Hey, Misa. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how I did that while I was at school is I did work part-time. It wasn't full-time, but I worked 2 days out of the week my last semester, and that was while I was working on my ASLA project. But I worked Thursday and Friday because it just worked with my schedule. I worked with my boss, and we came up with a schedule that I could go there to Berkeley. This is while I was at Groundworks, and I was only there for 8 hours out of the day, so when I got home, I started working on homework, and I just made it happen. Because you're at school for a limited amount of time, and you're there to learn. School is your priority while you're there. And I know you need to make money, and also while you're working, if you can get an internship, it's a double benefit. You can get your experience in real time with as a landscape designer, as well as make money to help pay for your tuition, because that's a really big issue for us students, is actually paying for this. So if you can get an internship, that's key in getting your door into the real world of working as a landscape designer, as well as supporting yourself as a student. So, yeah.
I would add to that, it's a very good practice actually to organize your time, because that's one of the challenges as a, like when you start working in the firm is you start working on another pace that is much faster than school. And organizing your time is a great skill. and I think getting internship and working it will teach you how to do that. Like you will give yourself some time that like I'm gonna work from now till 2 on this project, and that I'm sorry, I'm gonna work from whatever time to, let's say 2 on my school projects. After that, I'm gonna move to my second project, and that really, it's a practice. You need to practice it a lot, and school is a good time again to really master this skill. And adding to what Eric said about getting internship to be exposed to job opportunities, it's not just about like you guys or them to know you, but also it's good for you to know what are different styles of firms and which one you are interested in, because they are very different. Like Chloe's working on bigger scale of projects, and they are different projects. They're very different sets of skills. So it's very good to really know from school that it will give you a head start when you want to start your profession. So it's not just to find any job that you want, just go for the ones that you think you like.
Yeah, I totally agree with Naho. Like trying to be organized is a key. I was not good at the beginning. Maybe now I'm still trying to be better. But being organized about the time management and about all the files you have with schoolworks, like when you have like schoolwork and the job all together, you have all these things spinning in your head. So you have to know where the file is. So trying to be organized both for plan the time and plan for the other files you have. Yeah, so I think now I feel like plan everything ahead, plan your time, plan your like workload. It's very important, but try to figure out how to balance your work, not like do crazy schedules. That's not good for healthy. Yeah, but so it's good to try to learn how to manage that. There's a lot of like I think there's tutorials online try to help you to organize your time, like to help you to better understanding how to spend your whole day or whole week, like just start at school, not like leave your work like messy around in the studio. That's what I did before, but it's not a good habit. Just try to practice yourself from school.
And I think, taking a list of your tasks that you need to do is a good start. Just say, I have these tasks that needs to be done. That means I have this much time for each of them. That's what I do every day. Like, okay, these needs to be done first, and then if I have time, I can like working on the other ones to make my next day a little bit less busy. So that would be my recommendation.
Right. Sounds like time management is a big issue. And I guess, Chloe, I'm wondering, did you do an internship? You were able, okay. And did you feel like that, because I think that a lot of students here would say time management is an issue because it's really on you solely to figure it out. But when you have a job, there are expectations on you from an employer, I mean, even in an internship, that you're going to perform and produce work. And so did you find the internship helped with that, or how did you learn your time management?
Yeah, I think the internship helped a lot because at the beginning I was an internship as a CAD drafter, so I have a supervisor guide my work. So I really don't need to think about a lot how to manage the time. But as an internship, you gradually to see how others manage their time and how they arrange time for you. So like I'm not jump into that, like manage my time at the beginning, but it's like a process you learn from others. Yeah, so the internship really helped a lot. I was lucky, like get the internship from my second year of school and continue in the same office till now. Yeah, so I think I learned a lot from my coworkers. They are really good at time management and make all the project like organized. That's organized and time management is the key.
So you learned a lot from work. And Diana, how about you?
I think that it depends on your arrangement, because when will you get up, and when you go to bed, and when you have a lunch or have dinner, and how to organize each day. And I found when I was in school, I found I like to follow my instructor's time schedule, because they had a very clear time schedule for you, because each presentation, when we'll have the presentation, when have the deadline for meeting your final design. So, and I think that is easier for you to follow your instructors instruct. And I think, and I personally, I like to get early done before the date meet the deadline, because you can have some couple times to make some changes, to double check your design, to make some revise your designs. And after I working at the office, I feel like, oh, I'm independent now, because I should have a time schedule for each project, because you do several projects at the same time. So you should make a list and make up to know which one is a priority you should done. So each week at the Monday, I make a paperwork to make a list for each project, and to let me know where's the deadline for each project, and I will see which is the priority I should do, and organize from the Monday to the Friday. Yeah, because the time is limited, only 8 hours, so you should make a clean arrangement of your time, and be aware to make some mistake, and yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have two questions from online. I have two questions online. Sarah would like to know, what was the biggest challenge transitioning from school into the workforce?
I think the biggest challenge for me is to transiting now. Before I'm a student, now I'm an employee. So how to make a transit from student and to be employee. And from the personally, I think it's to make you more professional, to meet the standard of the landscape designer. And also, I think another challenge of me is it's not freedom anymore for your design, for your ideas, because you may get a lot of limits from your clients, from a lot of things. So you should make your work works, and also you cannot to do whatever you want to do for the site, because it's not your business, it's about others. And also, and you need to listen to your clients, and to get a good community with them, and will get close to the people and to the environment, and find a good ideas for them. And yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say, because you and I talked a lot in between the time that you graduated and the time you got your job, that Diana was nervous. You know, she didn't know if she was going to get a job. Those of you who are not U.S. citizens may have issues with OPT, and you know, it's like the 12-month thing is ticking down. But you were persistent, and when you were feeling like, my God, I'm never going to get a job, it was like, no, you've got to keep going, you've got to keep applying, you've got to keep getting out there. And it did that. There was a transition that was as great as it was when you got all those offers. The transition was, a little stressful, which I think is probably we would find as a common theme here. We can see. I mean, you guys may have just slid right in, but I mean, I know a lot of students, there's definitely a transition. So
Yeah.
Yeah, for myself, since I started interning my first year at the Academy of Art with Lucas and Lucas in Healdsburg, I did some remote work there, and in the summertime I worked there part-time, doing whatever I could. It was a really great experience. It was fairly easy to transition from school to work, because before I even started at the school, I was somewhat involved with landscape design in the office. But I would say the biggest challenge is learning to spend your time well. So because you're basically using other people's money to provide a service. So you need to consider that when you're sitting in a chair on a computer. You don't want to waste any time because you're gonna be held accountable for that in one way or another. So you have to produce well and produce good work. So compared to when you're at school, you can just goof around and experiment with different rendering styles, but that's all fun, but not when you go to work. It's different. So.
My challenge was, when we were in school, we learned a lot that landscape is a multidisciplinary major, and it's related to a lot of other majors, and it really is. And that was my biggest challenge, like communicating with others from your own firm to other firms, architects, people that you don't know what they're talking about, like engineers, and you don't have the knowledge to know what they're talking. I think everything that I did wrong was for lack of communication and not knowing how to communicate. And I think that's the biggest thing. Really, I can't emphasize enough, this is a major that is related to so many other majors, and not just normal people. There are a lot of professionals that they're expecting you to deliver. And no matter if you want to work here or in any other country, be very comfortable with the language that you want to speak with. You need to, I know that, I always told myself that art is an international language, and you can always communicate with art. That is true, but you still need to sell your idea to your firm, to other people. So it's a skill to really practice that from school. Take those everyday presentations serious. Like, just imagine you're presenting to your future client, and get comfortable with vocabulary and how to use them in your daily presentations. That would be my advice.
that's very good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel my transition is kind of how to work with others in the office, because when I was school, mainly work on my thesis, mainly talk with my instructors, like for like couple semester, like just talk with different instructor. But I can choose to take their advice or not. It's depends on my idea. But in the office, you really have to respect others. You should work as a team, not only have your one voice hanging there. So I think the biggest transition is you have to figure out what you are really good at in the whole team, because maybe you are really good at one part, like the brainstorming, but the other people good at other part. But you have to figure out your position in the team, what you are better than others in the team, what others are better than you in the team, and how to achieve the win-win situation for the whole team. That's the transition for me.
Well, that's great.
Misa has another question. As an online student, how can she have a presence among other landscape architectural professionals? And as coming from a smaller community, how can she be a change in there compared to bigger cities?
Can you ask where Misa is?
Yes.
Misa, where are you? Somewhere not near a big city. If you want to start. Oh, do we need to?
Yeah, Can you repeat your question?
As an online student, how can she have a presence among landscape architects versus people who are doing the program on site?
Okay.
So, send an email to your local landscape architect if that's the case. Reach out to anybody and everybody that you can that's in your community. There's bound to be some form of landscape architecture related office in your area, if not in your town, some nearby town. They'll probably respond. If they don't, keep trying. They'll probably tell you to stop, and that's your foot in the door. So, and then also local government usually has some form of landscape related, like Parks and Rec or something that you could connect with. So that would be, I would just say, go out there and reach for it. So, yeah.
Are you ready? Yeah, go for it.
I would also say, if you're an international student and you literally, wherever you are in the world, there just aren't a lot of landscape architects. There is IFLA, the International Federation of Landscape Architects, which you could reach out to, and most countries have an association of landscape architects, and that might be a way to make connections. Ah, okay.
Okay. I forgot the question. Okay.
How to
Oh
reach
yeah.
out.
I don't. It really depends on which country you're in. But if you're in United States, there's a lot of ASLA chapters. They are very active. They have a lot of lectures. I mean, you need to find your network if you want to be physically involved, like in their meetings and everything. But also, I'm surprised Eric didn't mention that. But there's like social media. Yeah, it's the easiest thing you can do. You can follow all of these ASLA chapters. They post on daily basis. You can learn a lot from them. Just the way you just scroll down your Instagram, follow your friends, you can follow a lot of news on social media too. Do you want to?
Okay. What's the question? Okay, I got it. I think, yeah, like just to mention before, I think you can post your design on the social media, and also you can find a design group near you, and you can find some firms in your country or around you, and send your designs and works to them, and ask some and get and try to get some comments from them, and also you can follow some great landscape architects Instagram or Facebook, and to give some interactive with them, and also be brave and believe yourself. You can do it. Yeah.
That's actually how I found my internship at CMG. Me and Eric just were looking at their Instagram, and we find out that they have internship because they posted on their Instagram. We're like, okay, I'm gonna apply then. But yeah, just be active and look for different opportunities.
Yeah, I guess there's some like a website for like you get some small works, like Upwork. They kind of can hire some people for a range of price, and you can learn from them, like to know what they are looking for, then practice your experience. So I think like online is a big source there, and all the people around you, even your grandma, can know something about landscape. Yeah. So just talk to people, and searching online. Yeah.
So it sounds like reaching out, if you're feeling isolated, and it sounds like Misa's in Modesto, if you can look at the Northern California ASLA chapter. If there's a lecture that you might be interested in, you should join. I would recommend all the students join the student ASLA. You can do it through the university here, and Marlena can post the form, but you can find it there, and then you'll be notified of events that are happening. And there may be landscape architects in Modesto that would be really excited to know that there's a student, interested and maybe possibly get an internship or something like that. Okay, Heather, hi everybody, great to see you. Is your sense of what makes good design different now than it was when you were a student?
So the question is if good design in our mind is different from when we were in school. Yeah, it is. I think in school, the way I looked at a good design, it was a lot about the form, like it, a design that it looks good, like it was pleasing to the eye. But right now, it's like the more I work, the more I really understand. There's so many layers to that. There's the fact that how it's actually being used. That's the biggest thing. Like if you make the greatest artwork on the paper and it's not functional, it's not gonna matter. No one's gonna use it. There are so many examples in the city that they are beautiful. They are very expensive. They spend so much money to build it, but no one's using it. So it's actually worthless. And if it's practical to build, that's another thing. Like when you're designing, really think about if you can build it, because that's a bigger part of the project. And I would recommend from now thinking about how much it costs to build something that will help you in future, because that's one of the challenges that whatever project you're working on, it will have a budget, and you can't just create because there should be a budget to afford. And yeah, I would say that's the difference between a good design and from student point of view to now.
Chloe, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question, really great question from Heather. From school, I think a good design to me, like is same as Naho, the cool renderings. Trying to think about how people use the space, but really cannot really picture it. But now with the experience, I experienced one project built and another 2 project on the construction, I believe. I feel a good design is like people really can say the space related to them. Like the space, they really can say we are not totally destroy their past. We are still think about the history, the what they really need now to accomplish the balance. I think, not just about the cool rendering anymore. Yeah.
I will add something if it's okay. Do you want to? The other thing is when you design something in real life, it's a living system after that, and it will evolve. And just thinking about that change through the time, because you're making a living thing. There are plants in it, there are habitat in it that they will start living and occupying that space. So a good design to me now, it's something that is flexible to change in time.
Yeah, I'll continue. That's exactly what I think. Yeah, when I was a student, I always thought that the pretty renderings were really what makes a project cool and interesting, but that's not true at all. I really think what makes a project successful now is a good infrastructure and a base and a design that will stand the test of time, something that, if you look at a lot of landscape projects, some of the greatest, they've withstood hundreds of years, possibly, and they can be repurposed and redesigned, and it's something that creates a space that can be manipulated through time. Because you're a landscape designer, opposed to an architect, needs to design, as Nahal was kind of getting towards, was in the 4th dimension in time. We work with living material, with cultures shifting, with people, their beliefs and needs changing. So I think a design that incorporates those needs for society is successful, not just pretty pictures.
And it's not just existing needs. You should think ahead and what's going to be. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I think the best work in school when I was in school, I think is is nice graphic and make your instructor and classmates understand what you're thinking about the site and make your design works. And yeah, that's it. And after I got work, I get into the work. I think not only to think about the graphic, also you needed to think about like a budget, like you should to think about how it can be construct, and it works for the people, and it's accessible. So it's complicated, and you should think about a lot. And I think I think you should make your design reliable. And also, because you are a landscape designer, you should think about aesthetic, ergonomic, and um, sustainable. So, yeah, yeah.
It's good. Good.
Yeah, Naho mentioned the flexible about the space reminds me one like two people talked with me. One was my associate. He got a really big project built in China somewhere, I forget. But the thing is, he saw something from the Google Map, Google Earth, something really pop on the Google Map. Imagine that you design something maybe randomly, then it pop up on the Google Map and it will stay there for a long time. It's somehow scary. So you really have to be be responsible for this piece of land. So I think, yeah, it's yeah, if you do it good, it's good for the space. It's not. It's like a scar on the earth. That's true. Yeah. Another project I'm currently working on, the client taught me about not just think about the Central Park. They kind of reserved a piece of land for future development, like balance how this space will work. So when we design like a heavily high-speed developer in China right now, we kind of fully use the space. But when we design, we are trying to think about how to develop the program right now and how the program itself will develop. So I think a good design, it can leave the potential to keep develop, not the physical space or physical structure done at the first of the day of project. Yeah, it's always think about the flexibility about the project.
And I like what you're saying about taking care of the land, which is sort of the stewardship aspect of the profession. That, because we do this, we have a responsibility to the land itself. And what Eric said was, it's like a tattoo. Does anyone in the room have a question for the panel? Felix?
My question would be, what types of opportunities do you think we should seek to start exploring collaboration right now while we're in school?
Well, if you're a member of the ASLA student chapter, I know there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration with other schools, such as UC Berkeley and other schools in the area. I know that some of them are far away and it might be hard to reach out, but Berkeley's right across the bay, and they do a lot of activities. And when I was the ASLA president, we did try to collaborate with them, but it was sort of difficult. But I would recommend go after that and reach out with them.
There is Spur, if you heard about it. They have a lot of meetings and they have a lot of lectures about hot topics. I would say go there. There's a lot of familiar faces that you will see every time. We started it. That's a hard question. Do you know?
I don't know what acronym stands for.
Oh my God. Do you
Planning
wanna-
urban.
Well, yeah, I know what they're doing. They
It's like an urban planning organization.
sorry. Someone has a Google.
Ideas and actions for a better city.
It's urban planning.
Yeah, they work with architects, landscape architect, urban designers, and it's like a platform that start this conversation between different disciplines, and yeah.
Sponsored projects for undergraduate research?
Okay. Yeah, but you can easily get membership, and you will get emails from when they have these meetings. I would say definitely do that. It's a good investment. And again, social media. Yeah.
How do you spell
SPUR. It's very close to
Mission Street.
Mission Street.
Right
Yeah.
across our office.
Yeah, yeah.
Continue that. I'll continue that note on social media. I would highly recommend for any student, I know it's kind of weird to say, but post your work on social media no matter what level you are in school. I did that when I was in school, and it was a great way to collaborate with other students from around the country, around the world. There are thousands of landscape architects and landscape designers all over the world that are on Instagram, and they use it every day. They use it as a portfolio of their work. So if you post it and you hashtag it or whatever, it's going to get out there and people are going to see it, and they're going to ask you how you did that rendering, or you're going to ask them how they did a rendering of somehow and how they learned it, stuff like that. It's a great ability to connect with people that otherwise you're disconnected because of your geography. So definitely do that. It's highly recommended.
Okay. So just an FYI, SPUR is the San Francisco Planning and Urban Research Association. Thank you, Heather. She knows. And then Warren has a question. How do you find ways to continue to grow your skills and knowledge? Does your employer offer development, or do you get any time to experiment or learn from more experienced colleagues?
Yeah, I think my experienced colleagues definitely taught me a lot of useful skills for like our daily basis use programs. But I think I was thinking about something I not did well at school. Like my modeling skill was not good, so I hope everyone to figure out what you are not good at and try to really spend time to watch tutorial or ask your schoolmates who good at it, just to fill the gap. Because when you go to work, people are trying to help you, trying to teach you, but maybe they don't have enough time. If you are not good at that part, you will, because the whole office is always very busy, so you may always be signed to work on something else, so maybe you will never really have dedicated time to fill the gap. So I think just trying to figure out what you are not good at now, and trying to ask other students to work it together.
I had the same comment.
I think use your piece of time, because for mostly you don't have a lot of time to develop a new skill, so you should have your maybe have some pieces of time to do some development. And my way is, I usually after work I go home and to surfing online to look at the magazine and to look at the latest land work, and also I'm trying to learn some new programs, because the latest program is easy to communicate with others, and also it's helpful to you save time, and also it's good for you to have a new skill. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not probably the most healthy thing to recommend, but definitely I do this a lot because, like I said, I am very passionate about landscape architecture. It's kind of my love of my life as far as what I love to do. So I always go home and practice new techniques and different rendering and research plants and different materials, and because it's what I'm thinking about all the time, and that's how I improve myself as a landscape designer. Because when you're at work, there's not a lot of time for self-improvement. You're usually just busting on a project to get it done, and revisions and RFQs and RFPs and emails, and invoicing, so there's not a lot of time for self-improvement. So you're gonna have to take it upon yourself, I think, to do a lot of that yourself with online tutorials or just practicing and experimenting with different new technologies.
And did you find that other more experienced people in the office would sort of mentor you, or do you feel like you just had a job and that's what you had to do?
I think what Chloe said about that is that they would be more than happy to help you if they could, but there's usually not enough time to sit down with you and teach you something in Photoshop or AutoCAD. So unfortunately, no.
So the other thing is, well, it's very important to learn these new programs, but also learn how to do them with flexibility, because these projects that you work on, it never happens that the first time you submit them, that's the last one. It's gonna change millions of times. So, and not just by you, by other people too. So start making it a habit to name your files in a better way. Use layers on everything, name the layers, because then later other people want to work on that and they want to know how you did it. So just working in a bit flexibility doesn't mean just for yourself. So you're working in a way that works out for other people too. And yeah, that would be, I mean, it wasn't the answer of that question, but it just crossed my mind.
Yeah, but that would be a skill that you'd have to have your coworkers teach you to do file management for that office. Every office has different file management systems, but it's their responsibility to teach you that because that's very crucial for.
Yeah, but it's a habit, I think. Like, if you're not used to doing that, and I didn't, I had all of my files. I can't find anything for my portfolio when I needed them. So it's a good thing to practice now. I'm sure you do it too.
Yeah, some minor thing. I learned some skill from the files other coworkers, they organized very well. I saw something like Photoshop. They did something really cool. I just trying to figure out how they did it. But maybe the coworker said he's like take a vacation off. So if the file is organized really well, I can figure out how they did it. Then I learn from like day by day.
Good answer. Any other questions? Oh, yes. Nella.
Hi. Based on what you were talking about, the skills and programs, which ones would you recommend us the most right now, or tutorials or anything that we can? Yeah.
Hands down, hand drafting, hand sketching is by far the most useful skill that you'll ever have. I would recommend studying fine art, painting, watercolor. That's all going to help you with design, framing spaces, composition. That's just training your brain to think as a designer and a creative person. After that, software, boring stuff. AutoCAD is by far the most used drafting software. Vectorworks, oddly enough, is popping up for job applications requirements. SketchUp is very common. Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator are very common, and Rhino for some offices.
Yeah, I think sketching is a basic skill for landscape designer, and it's easier way for you to think about to do your design. And after you jump to the computer work, you should have a skill with AutoCAD and Photoshop. This is very basic because they collaborate with each other. And also, you should have a modeling skill because you need to show 3D dimension with others, and you need to look at the space, how the space works, and so the SketchUp is much easier than Rhino or others. I think so. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think all the basic program everyone have to learn before get out of the school. And my experience is the modeling skill is quite important because we have all the base like skill like hand sketch and the beautiful idea in your mind, but how to make it physically present to others, how other people understand your idea from your brain. That's the very important. Like fully translate from the idea to the physical space. And that's kind of too practical, but I think it's an important step.
I agree with everything that they said about programs. The other skill that me and Eric did it a lot, and it really helps your brain to think critically, is whenever you go to, there's a lot of great open spaces in the city. Whenever you go there, just start thinking what's working and what's not, and just start critiquing the spaces that you're in, and you will learn from that a lot, and just it will be a habit for you, and then it will help you later to self-critique yourself too.
What about verbal presentation skills or being able to verbally communicate an idea?
This thing,
Maybe you don't feel that's the
I think
most important
just
one, but I'm just curious where
as far
that
as-
fits in with you guys.
as far as verbal presentation, I just think practice makes it much easier if you do it more. Especially if you work in an office, you're gonna end up verbally presenting something to some group of people eventually. It's always gonna happen because you, as a designer, need to explain what you're designing and what you drew. So you can't just sit on a computer and draft it. You're gonna eventually speak. So the more you speak, the better you'll get at it, more comfortable you'll be around the people you're talking with. So just
Practice.
Yeah, just practice it.
Practice.
Yeah.
Practice. In case anyone didn't get that.
There are so many, like so few people that they love presenting and they're not shy. I'm not one of them, but one of the good, I don't think you guys know Mary Mozansky. She was one of our instructors before, and she told me whenever you're presenting, you should have one friend that he or she is not shy, and try to act as him. Try to pretend you're him, and or her, and act like him when you're presenting. And eventually, you will. It's like acting, and eventually, you will get into that role on what you should do to not be shy and speak.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I think verbal presentation is very so important to communicate with people in the office with a client. But I think a key thing is prepare well. If you're really familiar with something, like from tip to toe, you just very naturally speak it out. So if you did the presentation preparation like one night before, it's just not gonna work. Yeah. But when you do the communication, you have to think clearly what you want to communicate with others. Make the one or two key points. Let others understand this key point. You will be successful. Not get yourself lost. Not get the others lost.
Yeah. And you have a great resource here, the Language Center. They are very helpful. They will give you a lot of great hints on how to be. It's not about like second language, people who speak English as their second language, but it's more about how to manage your time, how to talk about keywords, how to use your hand gesture to be like, so people can be more involved in like what you're saying. And yeah, the other thing I did for my presentations at school is I recorded myself and then listened to that after. It helped me.
Honest, I'm not good at verbal presentation. Yeah, but I think the way to improve your skill is practice. There's no any other way. Just practice, and before your presentation, I think you can organize your mind and to make some to summarize some keywords and be brave and don't be nervous. Yeah, just talk with myself. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, you go ahead. It's not just for students. Like when I'm in the firm, we have a lot of people who are experienced. They've been into a lot of ASLA presentations, but they were saying they are teaching classes to practice public speaking. So it's not just students, it's everyone else too.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have time for maybe one or two other questions. If there's anybody online. Okay. Maybe. Sylvie?
You guys successful to find a job in this city, and so I want to know what make you stand out, and what make you more competitive, stuff like skills or whatever.
I think I answered that in the beginning. I think just make a unique set of skills for yourself. It's either your rendering, the way you talk, the way you communicate, make that a unique voice. I think one thing that you should do is not to copy other people, just to be yourself, because that's what makes you unique, and that's what people want. They want someone that is different than anyone else. Like if you imagine they have all these colors in the firm, they need someone that is different from the other, and just create your own color and you will add to that firm.
Mine's a bit different because I get the job introduced when I was at school. I wasn't prepared my portfolio yet. So I present my schoolwork. I just bring one of my studio booklet, like the archive booklet, to the office. So I presented them the whole booklet. I told them I did the CAD base, I did the rendering, I did the InDesign, all these very basic skills made me get the job at the very first time. But as an international student, I needed to work on my visa stuff. So actually, the office was slowed down, so they kind of don't need an intern for a short time. But I guess, I hope so, that's my dedicated to my work. Like I really trying to fully responsible to every work I've done. I want to make sure everything is correct. Then based on all the good feedback my coworker gave to me, my boss asked me to go back to work after graduate. Then I think this years of dedication and really be responsible to my work is the key. I get my a full-time job.
Yeah, I agree with you, these two both, completely. For me, I would like to focus a lot on graphic presentation because that is what is going to catch their eye. You want to make something unique and beautiful that will initially get them to click on that PDF or link to the portfolio, and then once you lure them in with something that's catchy, then you can fill them in with the information of your projects, what's actually behind the beauty, and then eventually get into an interview with them so they can actually meet you. But I really think it's about that initial shininess that will catch them. So I think it's important not just to focus on substance is great, but also something that's really going to catch someone's eye and something that's unique. And definitely don't really look at other people's portfolios and think, I want to look like this. Think about yourself and who you are as a designer. We don't look at other designs and say, I want to copy this. We make our own design, and that's what firms are going to look for.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I think the first impression matter, and use your way to present your portfolio and to present yourself. And I think your attitude is very important to the firms when they have an interview with you. And be honest and be familiar with your project you did, and be prepared because you may ask some question about your works and about your school and about your goals for the landscape architecture, and you should full preparation, and also you should be unique. Yeah, just do yourself because you, not others. You are big pressure special. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just, as a employer of young landscape architects for, I don't know, 15 years, you often get, you might have 6 applicants or 10 applicants who all have the skill set you're looking for. So really, then you have to decide, who am I going to hire? So it's not, that you have to get in the door with with the skills. But really, for me, then it came down to who did I want to work with, which is really what you guys are talking about. It's people who you feel like you get a sense of who they are. And it can be a little intimidating if you're, to go into that situation. But the more that you can get comfortable in your own skin, I think that often is the point that separates you from someone else, particularly if you're all basically qualified for that job. So
it's obviously when you're out of school, you don't know everything, and they don't expect you to know everything. They just want to know that you are able to learn, and you can, when you're responsible, and you can learn to produce the things that they were asking for and make it even better than what they're expecting. And the other thing is, in your portfolio, create different style for yourself to show them that you don't have just one style that you can work with. You have, like, I wish I had different graphics now to show you guys, but if you're working with realistic renderings, have another one that is more cartoony or different, just show them that you have this different styles that can match for different projects or different tastes.
Okay, well, it's 6:30 and we're just about out of time. However, I have one last question that I'd like to ask of Nahal and Eric, because essentially both of you decided to submit to the National ASLA student competition work that you had done here. And both of you were very successful in doing that. And I guess I'm curious, and I'm hoping that other students might be inspired to submit projects and work as well. And I'm wondering if you could just briefly speak to what got you, how did you decide to do it? And then you had to put these things together and submit them and get them in on time. Mm-hmm. And, how did you do that? Because I think that design competitions are a great way to actually make a bridge between school and work.
I would say for me, it was a goal from beginning. Like, I knew I wanted to submit my project for ASLA because it's a great exposure. And it's a good evaluation for yourself, too, to see where is your level of work between all of these talented people. So it doesn't cost anything. You can just submit it. You will get it. Great. If not, you will try again. So if I wanted to do something different, I would apply for other projects. Like, I worked on all these different studio projects. I would submit all of them because who knows? It's a good practice for you too to create different packages for, professional world, and just learning that is a good skill set, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I'd also submitted my project knowing, I knew I was going to submit that exact project about my second year that I was at school. I had this project in my mind. That's one of the reasons I went to this school to study landscape architecture, because I wanted to change this space that was in my neighborhood. And I thought that this was an ideal project. It has everything that you need in a big, cool project. So the unique thing about the Academy of Art that really made it like a catalyst for our 2 projects that made it successful is there's so many resources. The student to teacher ratio is actually incredible, and it's something that every student should be really happy with, that we have some classes where there's 3 students and 1 teacher. People don't take that for granted. That's something that's really unique and kind of special at your time in the school if you have that opportunity, because you can spend an hour with your teacher discussing the project, and they're going to give you as great feedback as possible. And I had that benefit at this school, and that's one of the reasons why I won an award, is because I had so much professional help, hands-on, with my project. And it's not easy. I mean, you can just submit a project, but I spent a year knowing that I was going to submit this project, and the whole year I spent 8 hours a day on that project. So it's not a simple thing, and it's a lot of work, but definitely do it. And if you have a project in mind, start as soon as possible. Start researching about it, because the juries, they look deep into these projects, and they analyze everything about it. There's like a jury of 8 landscape architects that will tear your project apart, and they're going to pick the best of the best. So definitely.
All right. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I encourage you to submit your works for our school spring show. That is a good opportunity for you to meet other landscape architects. Also, is a good opportunity for you to present your project. And one of my offers come after I got my work.
show.
Yeah, my work select so in the spring show. So encourage
Yeah,
us to do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
All right, we are out of time. So thank you to our panel. We appreciate you taking the time to come out and share your experiences with the students and the online students as well. And we hope to see you again soon. So thank you all.